Good morning to everyone and thank you for choosing today's market briefing, financial market news analysis each day. Our goal is to provide you with a deep and expert analysis of the most relevant financial news to help you navigate the complex economic landscape. We're pleased to deliver our content every morning, prior to the opening of the U.S. markets, offering you a competitive edge for your trading day. Now, let's begin our daily review. Major developments in international finance, June 2, 2023. U.S. futures and European stocks experienced fluctuations in early Tuesday trading. This comes after the S&P 500 saw a retreat on Monday. Contracts on U.S. gauges remained muted, and Apple Incorporated faced a 0.4% decline in pre-market trading as it unveiled its new mixed reality headset at a steep price. The sentiment on tech was also subdued as Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the main chipmaker for Apple, tempered its capital spending outlook. Moving to Europe, German bonds gained as consumer expectations for euro area inflation eased significantly in April. This adds to the case for the region's central bank to conclude its rate hike campaign this summer. However, an earlier report revealed that German factory orders unexpectedly fell in April, indicating further signs of industrial weakness. On the other hand, the Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, expressed concerns about persistently high inflation and hinted at the possibility of tighter monetary policy in the country. As a result, the Australian dollar saw a significant increase of up to 1%, and the three-year government note yield, sensitive to policy changes, rose by approximately 6 basis points. John Bromhead, a strategist at ANZ Banking Group Limited, highlighted the ongoing challenge faced by central banks worldwide in combating generational high levels of inflation. In commodity markets, wheat prices surged after Ukraine reported that Russian forces blew up a giant dam in the country's south, resulting in a torrent of floodwater that poses a threat to thousands of people and potential disruption to Black Sea grain supplies. This news led to a jump in prices, with wheat climbing as much as 3% on Tuesday, continuing its upward trend from a 30-month low the previous week. Andrei Sizov, the managing director at agricultural consultant Sov Econ, described the dam's destruction as a significant escalation with dire consequences and substantial headline risk. He further noted that this event could be the start of a bull run in the wheat market. Meanwhile, the US dollar remained steady as the Treasury initiated a flood of bill issuance on Monday. The upsized 3- and 6-month auctions attracted buyers, a move expected to drain liquidity from the system. This development has led market participants to anticipate a range-bound mode until the impact of government actions and the Federal Reserve's final decision on rates becomes clearer. In other news, Asian stocks reached a 3-month high, with Chinese developers leading the rally. Signs of Beijing taking steps to bolster the economy emerged as authorities requested some of the major banks to lower their deposit rates. Looking ahead, key events scheduled for this week include the rate decision in Poland, China's forex reserves and trade data, U.S. trade and consumer credit reports, Canada's rate decision, crude oil inventory data, Eurozone GDP figures, rate decisions in India and Peru, Japan's GDP report, U.S. wholesale inventories and initial jobless claims data, and China's PPI and CPI numbers. Before we continue with our analysis, we'd like to remind you of your support for our channel. Today's market briefing, financial market news analysis. If you're enjoying this video and find our content useful and engaging, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. This helps us grow and bring you even more quality content. Now, let's get back to the financial market news and the latest updates. Here are some of the main moves in the markets. Stocks. The Stoxx Europe 600 remained largely unchanged as of 10:05 a.m. London time. S&P 500 futures, Nasdaq 100 futures, and Dow Jones Industrial Average futures showed minimal changes. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index rose by 0.3%, and the MSCI Emerging Markets Index remained stable. Currencies. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index exhibited little change. The euro fell by 0.1% against the US dollar, while the Japanese yen strengthened by 0.2%. The offshore yuan declined by 0.2% against the US dollar, and the British pound faced a 0.2% decrease. Cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin experienced a 0.3% increase, reaching $25,720.39. Ether rose by 0.6%, reaching $1,816.53. Bonds. The yield on 10-year Treasuries declined by 2 basis points, resting at 3.66%. Germany's 10-year yield fell by 5 basis points, settling at 2.33%. Britain's 10-year yield also decreased by 2 basis points, reaching 4.19%. Commodities. Brent crude oil saw a decline of 2.2%, reaching $75.03 per barrel. Spot gold experienced little change. That concludes today's international financial and market news. Stay tuned for further updates throughout the week. Apple's metaverse ambitions fall short as shares dip, cryptocurrencies plunge on Binance lawsuit. Welcome to today's top international financial and market news. U.S. stocks closed lower on Monday, with most indexes surrendering solid gains made during the trading day. In Europe, the Stoxx 600 index fell 0.48% as the latest Purchasing Managers' Index report for May revealed a slowdown in business growth in the Eurozone. Apple unveiled its highly anticipated augmented reality headset, the Vision Pro, priced at $3,499, along with a range of new products. However, investors seemed uncertain about Apple's headset, and the company's shares dipped 0.76% on Monday. Nevertheless, shares of Unity, a game development software maker, soared 17.16% following Apple's announcement of a partnership with the company. In another development, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, filed a lawsuit against Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. The SEC has levied 13 charges against Binance, including allegations of using market-making companies to inflate trading prices, commingling customer funds with the exchange's own money, and aiding U.S. customers in evading Know Your Customer systems. While stock markets rallied last week on the back of optimism surrounding artificial intelligence, economists are cautioning that investors are disregarding a laundry list of potential risks. Zurich-based GAM Investments warned that the Nasdaq is currently very expensive, and Morgan Stanley predicts that stocks will underperform due to significant downgrades in earnings forecasts. Turning to the job market, May's jobs report showed that the U.S. labor market remained surprisingly strong. However, CNBC's Jeff Cox points out that a robust jobs market does not necessarily preclude an impending recession, as the jobs market is typically the last to indicate a downturn. In summary, before the recent surge in interest around generative artificial intelligence, investors were focused on two other technology trends: cryptocurrencies and the metaverse. However, both these areas received lukewarm or negative reactions in recent days. Apple's foray into the metaverse with the Vision Pro headset failed to excite investors, leading to a decline in the company's shares. Additionally, the SEC's lawsuit against Binance caused a sharp plunge in cryptocurrency prices. Major stock indexes experienced slight declines, particularly in the tech sector. In conclusion, we'd like to thank you for watching today's market briefing, financial market news analysis. If you enjoyed our insights and found the information helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to our channel to stay updated with future analyses. Thank you again for your support, and we'll see you soon with more fascinating news. Remember, the information in this video is purely informational and does not constitute investment advice. Always consult with a professional before making financial decisions.